Let's face it, moving in with a significant other can be a daunting task. There is the physical moving of furniture, the changing of address for your mail, setting up utilities, finding someone with a truck to help you, the list goes on. But one aspect of moving in with a significant other is the risk you both take against your relationship. The reality is that regardless of your beliefs, you should be aware of what you are getting yourself into when it comes to living full-time with your partner. For example, I witnessed firsthand the pros and cons behind the situation, and I hope to enlighten you to make an educated decision when and if the situation arises. According to Ashley Fetters from The Atlantic in 2008, the rate of success of marriage in accordance to moving in with each other before marriage is a difficult situation to quantify. The Pew Research Center recently released a report detailing their findings of how different demographics perceived the idea of cohabitation, and to no one's surprise, the topic is instilled with debate. I'm going to talk to you today first about the divide of opinion about cohabitation, second about how it is dangerous for some relationships to do so, and lastly a solution so we can decide if cohabitation is right for your relationship. First, we'll discuss how divided many people are on the subject of cohabitation. The concept of cohabitation is viewed differently by specific groups of people. These can be described by religion, political affiliation, or age. Juliana Horowitz, Nikki Graff, and Gretchen Livingston wrote in the piece, Views on Marriage and Cohabitation in the U.S. in 2019 that younger adults often see cohabitation as a pathway to having a successful marriage. For example, according to the study, 63% of adults aged 18 to 29 believed that cohabitation prior to marriage gave relationships a better chance at success. When comparing that to the 77% of adults aged 65 and over who disagree, we can start to see a discrepancy of opinions. These statistics speak of what time has done in changing people's opinions on the matter. Over time, statistics have altered. According to Brett and Kate McKay's article, Should You Live Together Before Marriage in 2017. These statistics include that living together prior to getting hitched has increased 1,500% since the 1960s and 30% in just the last decade. And while almost half of Americans disapprove of the arrangement, in 1981, a quarter century later, that number fell to 27%. Today, 2/3 of new marriages are preceded by cohabitation. As we move forward, one last statistic to keep in mind from Nikki Graff's article, Key Findings on Marriage and Cohabitation in the U.S. in 2019. This article mentions that 63% of adults younger than 30 say that couples who have lived together before marriage have a better chance at a successful marriage. In short, while the perspective of cohabitation is seen in a positive light, it does not mean that there aren't obstacles that those who do so need to overcome. Now that we have a clear understanding of the array of opinions, we can touch on some of the risks that are involved in sharing a living situation with a partner. Kimberly Lawson in 2020 wrote, in What Living Together Before Marriage Means for Your Relationship, writes that there are some factors behind unsuccessful cohabitation. One of these contributors is income level. In the study, it is found that the less money a couple makes, the less likely they are to become married. Rachel Chateau in 2018 in Should You Get Married If You Haven't Lived Together First, an expert weighs in and uses the term cohabitation effect for us to understand how difficult it is to get out of a relationship. The cohabitation effect essentially means that couples stay together longer than they would when they live together because it is harder to leave a relationship once you've enmeshed your life. Julie Baumgardner in 2018 in Should Couples Live Together Before Marriage mentions another risk involved with those who choose cohabitation. The article states that the increase in cohabitation, serial cohabitation, and premarital cohabitation has led to consistent downward trends in the belief that marriage is special. This is a scary concept, especially when you consider how marriage is supposed to be a lifelong endeavor. Marriage should be seen as a special experience. Now that we have discussed the dangers of cohabitation and how it is a risk to a relationship, we are lastly going to discuss how to approach the concept of cohabitation. In order to make the process as beneficial as possible, here are some guidelines to consider when making that lifelong decision. Brian Forbes, in The Pros and Cons of Living Together Before Marriage in 1996, writes that it is important to think about the end goal prior to moving in with your partner. Oftentimes, the end goal of your partner and yourself may not be the same. Be sure to consider what both of your wants are prior to cohabitating. As mentioned before, consider your financial situation prior to moving in. Kimberly Lawson in What Living Together Before Marriage Means for Your Relationship in 2020 brings up some studies that really highlight what your finances can mean for your relationship. Lawson states that the more money you make, the more likely you are to get married, especially if you and your partner make about the same. Alternatively, couples who aren't as well off are more likely to separate. In short, the subject of moving in before marriage deserves a bit of due diligence. Many factors that lead people down the path are directions that initially seem correct in the moment, but deserve a bit more understanding of what makes a long-term relationship successful. We have examined the divide of opinions about cohabitation, how it is dangerous for some relationships to do so, and lastly, what types of situations that exist that are statistically doomed to succeed. As the U.S. becomes more diverse, we have had some growing pains. In this case, the choice of living with your partner before marriage may not be the correct choice for most. A couple must be ready before cohabitating. Without doing so, people can feel trapped and make the choice of leaving a relationship that is much more difficult than if they had not decided to move together in the first place. So please refrain from making hasty decisions. Moving in before marriage can often put you at a disadvantage and can wind up wasting a lot of time and energy into your love life.